Hey everybody, Breakthrough Health and Life Coach Glenn Hattem here. I'm here with my good friend. Well, it says on the screen here, it says Gianna Benash, your daughter's friend, but Joey Marroquin. How do we say that? How do we pronounce your name right?
Marroquin.
Marroquin.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, that was the first time. All these years, we've been friends for just thousands of years. I mean, exactly. Feels like that. I mean,
but I forgot that name. I forgot that name. It's Escrow Joe now to everyone.
Yeah. Well, I have this incredible human being, powerhouse of a businessman, incredible family man. Just what you do in a day as a father, what you do as married to a gorgeous partner. Your wife Robin is incredible. She alone just speaks volumes of who you are.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have a conversation today, talking about some of the highlights of how you got started in your industry. On this 1% podcast, I interview people that are captains of industry, the people that are leading the way, that are doing extraordinary things and started on humbling paths. And cool. I'm excited to just get into a conversation. We'll just jump right in, talking a little bit, Joey, about your background and maybe what you're up to right now. And then we'll just flip the switch back in time to how you got started. And folks, grab a pen and paper. There should be some really great nuggets here of wisdom to integrate into your life today, if you want to, because it's going to be there for you, delivered in a way that's really practical and no BS. We have no fluff here. It's just all about, what needs to be revealed here from Joey on his success route and what's available for yourself. It's a formula that you live and breathe it day in, day out, and it's actually provided for you a pretty great life. And you haven't learned it the easy way. So
no.
So Joey, maybe just share a little bit about what you're up to these days and in the business world, and we can kind of go back in time how you've taken some steps to get there.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's hard to kind of reel in everything that I wanted to cover what you're just talking about. I just wanted to go off, start talking about each one of those things like, yeah, this, that. Yeah. But I'll try to be specific. And right now I'm just, I'm maintaining our real estate team. I've been in real estate over 20 years. Lots of ups and downs, of course, but we've developed it now into a very consistent and strong team with great results for our clients and for us. And so, like any business, it just takes time, but it's all about the foundation. And that's what I learned later, and some of the mistakes that I made. I wish I had a better foundation, but we'll get into that maybe later. But yeah, so right now I'm just basically focused on that. We sell a house a week. I'm here in Southern California, and I'm by myself with one assistant, full-time assistant, which is my wife, which came on board 2 years ago and partnered up with us, or with me, and my transaction coordinator, who handles a lot of the behind the scenes paperwork and things like that. And then we have an in-house escrow exclusively to myself and my team, and a few other agents there in the office, but for the most part, very exclusive. So we've just got a whole lot of dynamics now to our business that other agents don't offer. And I'll go over that kind of with you, just how we got from there to here, and what got us to that. Not so much just like things, but more, things like systems, but mentally too, how we got here. And I've got to a point now after 20 plus years in the business, and now as a top producer in my region out of, licensed, there's thousands, but actively, over 1,500 in our area. And I was in the top 5 the last 2 years consistently. So like I say, we do.
This guy's got ribbons. He's got ribbons.
Just a couple. No, but it's not, for me, it's not about the ribbons though. That's, it's great, the accolades and all that, but that's not what drives me. And other agents are like that. They like all the medals and the shiny, hey, look at what I've done for me. But I've always had a different approach of, it's not about what I can do for me, it's what I can do for you. And so I never really boasted that my results with my clients, like, hey, I'm the top selling this in my office and blah, blah. It's like, hey, great, good for you, but what are you going to do for me as a client, So anyways, again, I'll get off course, but I learned so much over the years. And now, like I said, we've got to over 20 million in volume annually that we sell, just by myself with an assistant and a transaction coordinator. And so I've now decided to pass along a lot of the wisdom that I've gained, that I see there's a big void in our industry. I see so many new agents and even, long-term agents, but just that are doing things so wrong. And, the stats in our industry, it's, 87% of realtors are going to be out of the business in the first 5 years. That's a huge disparity when you think of it. That many agents start and they want to change their career. They want something better. They want to build a better future for their family, they want time, they feel like it's something that's more flexible, and they get into it for all the right reasons, but for whatever reason they fail. And what I found was there's all these top gurus out there and coaches in the real estate industry, but they're mainly geared for the top 20%, because the rule of thumb is 80% of the agents do 20% of the business, and 20% of the agents do 80% of the business. So all the agents that can afford the top gurus are the ones that have made it, that are selling already. And so they can afford the how to double my business and get a full-time coach and things like that.
They can take advantage of market opportunities as well.
Absolutely, all of it. And so, but there's nothing for the masses that are scraping by, trying to make it and trying to, provide for their families, and have no foundation and no help, and they can't afford. So we're designing a course, my wife and I, that's going to be extremely affordable. I mean, and it's going to be all the principles and the foundation of how to get into real estate, and how to have a successful business in real estate, and how to make it and not be part of that 87%, at least give them a better chance at it, because there's nothing out there like it. And so, I'm sharing something with you that I haven't told anybody, but maybe you and a couple other people, because
you just told millions of viewers.
Oh, great. Well, hopefully I launch it before everyone knows, but you can't duplicate. It's like, I feel it's so original that I'm not even worried. I feel it's not the idea, it's the execution. And then so many other people I know out there, agents, they maybe have thought of this, or even if they have thought of it, if I told them, they still wouldn't go out and create the course, or they wouldn't create the course like I would, because what I'm sharing is extremely unique and exclusive to like our business and our business model. I mean, yeah, it's in the broad spectrum, we would kind of do similar things as agents, but what separates us from each other is, the different techniques and systems and things that we have employed, to utilize for our clients that others don't. It's just, so we do things a lot different, and we do it right.
I think you've always been like that. It's my experience of you has been someone that's always like, oh man, these things weren't available to me and no one was helping me, and I had to do it the hard way. And then there's someone around you that's like, you're pulling them along with you. You're the type of person that just, even in our friendship throughout the years, I've always found that we've gone through, and we've known each other for how many years now has it been? Like,
oh my gosh, 23 years, something like that.
23 years. All right, stop talking. I'm getting older the more you go. Basically,
23 years.
23 years. I mean, you were like, just shaved the beard off coming back from Alaska.
Yep.
And you had this smoking hot wife who happens to show up delivering your lunch, but she's also got a couple dead bodies in the back. She's a mortician. I'm like, how did you score this one? Back in the days where you guys were at, and I was a fitness coach, and you were coming to me for fitness advice. And you've been someone that has I've constantly gone to for advice and input on just relationships and on finances. And I think there's just been a mutual exchange of just like, hey, I learned this thing here. Nah, dude, you need to take a look at this. I want to help. I want to help. Well, we're both like that with each other.
We're just like-minded, when we met each other, it was always like, hey, I always tried to surround myself with other people that were going to, lift me up and positive. I've always been a positive person, fortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's come natural to me. And I just don't see how you can't be positive. It's just, so I know some people struggle with that, and I don't have the answer to that, but I just know that, so I always tried to surround myself with other people, and we just clicked. We had the same, kind of energy, the same
Uplifting vibe. Yes.
vibe, and the same outlook of, hey, always growing. If you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotten. So it's like,
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to. I didn't realize this until later, but at a certain point in my life, I stopped trying to learn, if that makes sense. It was almost like, especially in real estate, I got to a point where I thought I was successful, and I thought that I had made it but I realized, like, you never make it. If you think you know it all, that's when you stop growing, and you stop keeping an open mind and learning.
You can't be, what I've discovered, and a lot of other people have discovered this before me. So maybe Christopher Columbus or the Indians discovered this, but basically you cannot be learning while you're knowing.
Yeah.
If you're like Mr.
Wow.
Know-it-all, you ain't learning shit. And what I always experience of you as being not just a charismatic salesman, but whatever you get involved with, whatever the product or service you're engaging with, you are just like, you get Joey, you get experience, like this guy
100%.
who's like, I'm in, like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I believe in. Here are the benefits. Or you're going to steer a person away from this and like, this is not the right move for you. Like, very honest, very transparent. And also like just brutally honest, like you'll call, you did that to me the other day, called BS on some stuff. You're like, no, man, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like be surrounded myself by yes people. I value my friends who lift me up because they see something and they're gonna lean in. That's like
I believe in telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Yeah, and that's a true friend or a true coach or whoever. It's like, I'm gonna tell you what, if it rubs you the wrong way, it's usually because it was meant for you. And so that's like, hey, well, and you're absolutely right. And I just, I think becoming a lifelong learner, once you grasp that, accept that, then you're going to continue to grow, and that's the thing. It's like, you got to always be open-minded to learning and learning and learning and learning. Life, you never know it all. You never know it all.
No.
So
yeah, I think that's what we thrive really well. The conversations are always on fire from the moment we get on the phone with each other. It's playful and I just well, hey, can you share a little bit about kind of your path? Because I know it's not been like to the moon, and just smooth sailing. Maybe share. Everybody loves to like hear about how you got run over or choked out or something. Everybody loves those details. So maybe we can give them a glimpse into what it might have been like as you still followed this like wisdom that was becoming more and more clear to you, as like, this is my truth and I've just got to go that way. And you've gone through some obstacles and some significant pains, and you've had your probably your youthful flashy route to things and got sidetracked and then got back on track. And I think some of that share would be really valuable to our audience, because we have a pretty diverse group of folks that are looking for like, where do I need to look within myself? Because that's where the editing needs to happen, not necessarily out here with all the behaviors, but one's belief system has to be altered in order to make those appropriate behavioral modifications. They're not going to stick if there's something out of whack inside of you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No, definitely. Okay. So starting back, I guess when I was younger, my parents got divorced when I was young. I moved out to California, went through junior high and high school there. And so at an early age, I was very self-sufficient. My dad worked 2-3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. And so I had to just all the house tasks and doing my, schoolwork and everything else. And so I was having to take on that responsibility at an early age. Since like 7th grade, I was basically a latchkey kid on my own.
Same.
And then my younger sister ended up moving from Texas to where we were in Southern California. And it was great. I mean, we were on the beach. It was awesome. Just, we didn't have a lot of money back then. And so we struggled, and I had to figure out ways to get extra money the right way, obviously the honest way. But, and I did that, I hustled. I refurbished bikes and surfboards and sold them and bought them and sold them, kind of flipping it, you know, but at a young age, not really knowing that's what I was doing.
I did that too with my Star Wars action figures. I broke their heads off or blew them up, and then I would try to sell these broken, dismembered action figures. Instead of lemonade, I was selling like, get your, you know, kind of used action figures.
That's perfect.
Repurposed.
Yeah, that's it.
Keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah. So anyways, I started, you know, kind of doing that, making ends meet. And then I just realized, you know, college at an early age, I realized college wasn't the path for me. And everyone was kind of just hammering me, hey, you got to go to college and get a degree. And that's great for a lot of people. But, you know, especially nowadays, you hear more and more that it's, you know, not as important, or you go into huge college debt and, you know, you still don't know what path you should have gone on. And so, not to say I'm not trying to knock college at all. I'm just saying it wasn't for me. It wasn't my path, but I knew that at an early age. And so I said, well, how am I going to make my way without college? And that was just straight hustle. And so I adapted that mindset right when I had like my first jobs. I worked for Costco. I was the youngest supervisor at 18 on the front end ever. They got hired in that position. I was in charge of adults on the cash register, and it was awkward because here I am, just graduated high school, and I'm now working full time, and I'm a supervisor, you know. And at that time, it was I thought it was great money, but it was what, I think $15 an hour. I went from minimum wage to $15 an hour. It was in the early 90s.
Wow.
And so
we had lots of new skateboards for transportation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I thought I struck it rich. I was like, woo, you know, I made it big. And so, but that was just with youth, you know, it's just a different mindset. But anyhow, so worked at Costco for many years, and then it wasn't fulfilling. I started growing, and I wanted something more, you know, I wanted just better opportunity. And I always wanted to keep growing. I just felt I wasn't moving. And I did all the different positions through there over like 6 years, something like that. And that's about when I met my wife, and we started dating. And then for about a year, and then I actually quit Costco and decided that I was just going to go in sales. I didn't know what. I was getting married, and I said, well, I need to go to Alaska. I want to think about this. I want to be somewhere where I can really think. I didn't sell for just going in the backyard or just going to the beach. I'm like, no, I got to go all the way to Alaska and work on a salmon boat.
Yeah, worry about guys throwing you off when it's payday.
Yeah, exactly. Getting jumped, you know, by all the fishermen there, you know, in Alaska. That was fun. But anyways, you know, hard knocks, and you learn and you grow. But anyways, it was a good experience. I went out there, and it wasn't that I didn't know you know, what I wanted to marry her or not. It was just a huge commitment. And I wanted to kind of have a clear head, and really without my friends influencing me. Because back then it was all party friends, well, you know, drinking and, you know, just all of that lifestyle. And so I was just like, you know what, I need to clear my head, you know, and just make sure, and just kind of go up there and figure out a game plan when I get back. So it was good. I had 4 months of solitude working on a salmon boat and just doing a lot of thinking and soul searching.
No sleep.
Yeah, no sleep, 20 hours a day at work. Yeah, it was crazy. And I grew a beard and had, you know, you had to protect your face from the jellyfish falling off the net. And, you know, as the salmon were coming on board, it was exciting. It was a cool adventure. It was something that I'm glad I did. Now, you know, I don't have to regret it, because I thought about always wanting to do it. And I was like, you know, it's just a good opportunity.
I almost was going to do that too. You did it. And I'm just really inspired. And I think I remember an old picture of you with that beard, like ZZ Top thing going. And,
I actually hitchhiked from Southern California all the way to Bellingham, Washington. And then I got on a ferry and slept on the ferry in a tent for 2 days, getting into Ketchikan. And then I went through all the canneries just to get a little cash in my pocket. I got a job filleting salmon on the conveyor belt. And then I went and I walked the docks asking if anybody needed a deckhand, and nobody wanted to hire me because they call it green. I was a greenhorn. And so, but then I said, hey, I can cook, man. And they're like, okay, we need a cook. Nobody wants to
cook. You can cook. You got some good recipes.
Thank you. Yeah. But no, so we ended up, I got a job there on the boat, and that's how, led me to that path. But it was just the hustle, it was just the adventure, the seeking out and making it happen. You just got to really get out there. No one's going to make it happen for you, So anyways, did that, came back, got married, and then started in sales. And that's when I met you at
Yeah, we were doing some
Toyota.
sales back in the days, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then you just took the sales to like a whole nother level. You got into, I think, got into real estate down in Southern California.
Right.
Started
Right.
getting after that, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what's the path from like now you're flipping houses, you're doing all kinds of things. You got a great team. You've got your awesome wife working with you doing this. I mean, you guys have done a lot of
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
things together, but maybe just how does this, because there's great lessons in this path of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got to watch you transform, like, it wasn't overnight, but I
No.
got to watch you just like, wow, this guy just keeps leveling up, and like it just compounding interest of your character that you've held steadfast to. There's one thing I've
Yeah.
experienced of you. You've been very consistent.
Yeah.
Your nature, your way. A
Yeah.
couple times I had it like, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna end up buying some of this like
Oh, the
smooth your
Miriam.
skin out
Yeah.
material, and I don't know where I'm gonna use this on my body.
That's funny. Yeah.
But like you guys were like, you were into like, what's the next thing? You're always like, and then you get what you need to learn from that experience,
Yep.
and you toss it. But maybe
Yep.
share a little bit about like your
Okay.
curve and how you've been. I just always see you as a very, maybe when the camera goes off, it's something different. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. But
Yeah.
like,
Right.
there's something very consistent, and I think it's probably very safe for your customers doing business with you. It's very trustworthy, and for a place where people are making some really significant financial decisions for
Absolutely.
themselves, that
Yeah.
you really embody so many qualities. I'll just give all the credit to your wife, but like,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, but yeah, share a little bit about just how this essence of yours held steadfast and developed as you've kind of gone through these
Yeah.
probably not leaps, just bumping into the
Yeah.
next thing you're
Okay.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Maybe share
So,
that.
well, yeah, absolutely. So when I went into, I was telling you, we started in sales. I was doing car sales, and it was a hard sell, So again, it was like, it was experience. It was, a stepping stone, and it was a foundation. And I learned a lot in car sales, and then but it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't, I still felt there was something else out there for me, you got to go with your gut, and I just felt, and too many people just settle because they're either afraid to take that leap, or they're just, it's fear, if you let fear control you, you're going to be stuck forever, so you've got to get past that fear stage. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm scared of what do I do? I was comfortable selling cars. I learned that, but I was like, I knew there was something else, and I knew I was going to be impacted financially or whatever, but I still had to, seek it out. So I found mortgage loans. I actually, a guy walked into the dealership, introduced me to doing mortgage financing, and we clicked, and he was like, hey, are you looking for an opportunity? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, hey, I need a mortgage lender. And at that time, the market was booming. It was '05, I think it was. Let's see. It was '03. So '03, I think. Yeah, I got licensed in 2000.
Yeah,
Actually.
I did the real estate mortgage thing before you, doing the mortgage gig for a bit. I got my real estate license and did mortgage for a while, and I
Uh-huh.
was the opposite. I was like, get me the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It
I loved it, but
wasn't my thing. So
yeah, no, and that's why I say you got to find out, hey, was it for you? No, your gut feeling told you, and you moved on, and you
yeah.
stuck with your passion that told you where you should be, and you found that, But anyways, so I did the same thing, but I found that I was like, okay, I like this. This is great, but it wasn't still quite. I was getting closer. I was in the area, but I was in the arena, but not quite where I wanted to be. And that's what, from mortgage loans, I went to real estate, and that's where I felt at best, and so started in 2000. Actually, I started in mortgage loans, did that for a couple years in San Diego. Then we moved out to the Inland Empire out here in it's San Bernardino County, which is about an hour and a half east of LA. And that's where my wife's family's from. And she wanted to start a family, having kids. And well, I did too, but it was, just getting into that mode of being closer to family and starting a family. But anyways,
You weren't ready to, you weren't planning on 3 teenagers at the time.
yeah, I kind of wasn't ready to start kids right at that moment. I wanted a little bit longer, but she was ready, and I said fine. But so we did both want it, but I was just kind of wanted a little more time. But then I started realizing, you know what, there is no real right time. You just do it when you feel both are really ready and wanting to. And so we went for it. But so that was here. We fast forward. I started, and of course we struggled back then. I did mortgage loans and I barely closed loans, and I was learning, and, I was check to check, didn't have a whole lot saved up, and, trying to make it like everyone else when you're young and you don't have a lot going on, but I never lost hope, and it's just like, and I just kept, and hope, I realized also later on, but hope wasn't a strategy. And I kept hoping, but hope didn't get me to where I am now. I had to realize there's a strategy that you have to implement, not just hope. But so there's so many things. People, just hope for the best. It's like, hope is not a strategy. I'll keep hoping.
I need a course. I need a curriculum. I need the methods. I need the beat downs. I need to make sure.
Absolutely.
Right.
Accountability. I need accountability. Accountability is huge, especially with anything, and our spouses hold us accountable all day long. Our girlfriends, our significant others, boyfriends, whatever. We're held accountable. Our kids hold us accountable when you don't even realize it, but they are holding you accountable just by what they're learning, what you're teaching them when you don't even know it. And so it's, but I'm getting off course. So
no, I hear you, because I was up at the lake house up in Arrowhead with you with the Robbins family parents and stuff, and I'm like, they're holding you accountable.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, we had a great time up there, but it's like, yeah, you've had really great support to leverage.
You have to surround yourself.
Handling your shit as a man, like what are the responsibilities you need to be on top of as a fellow human being, a fellow journeyer, like you got to be on top of these things.
Well, and you've got to always look forward and not backwards. You can't keep having a self-pity party about what's happened to you in the past. Yep. You've got to keep looking forward and man up. Like you said, be a man about it. Let's go. Like, step it up. You got responsibilities. Do you want the next level for yourself or not? How are you going to get there? Let's get a system in place. Let's do this. It all comes down to desire. It's what you want. It's like, if your desire for this, that, you're going to do things based on that desire. If you want to, if you want to see somebody and you want to drive an hour, you can make excuses as to why you can't make that hour drive. But if the desire is strong enough, you're going to overcome those excuses and you're going to go, right? So it's all desire. But anyways, I got to, mortgage loans, started, then I found real estate. Really, I loved it. And I started, we moved out here. I worked for a top producing agent. She took me under her wing as a buyer's agent. And it was brutal, man. I didn't have a database of clients. It was a new area. I had to learn the area. This was before GPS on your phones. I had a Thomas guide. I had to, so I had printouts of Thomas guides. This is really showing my age right now, but
Thomas guides. So you're just all over the place following.
Yeah. So I'm driving I have a map that I had to map out the houses, and I'm driving and trying to, and I'm at the stop sign trying to read, okay, am I making the right turn? I mean, it was just, but that was the learning curve, and that was the struggles. And then I, made mistakes along the way when you're new, like everyone else. And it was like, I could have let fear take over and say, I'm going to just do cars out here in the Inland Empire and just stick with that. But I know I wanted a career change. I wanted something better. And I knew that real estate, I felt comfortable meeting people and talking to people, making friends. That's what I love. And so I felt like I didn't like politics. So I could have been a good politician, shaking hands and kissing babies. But I'm like, no, I'll just stick to doing that in real estate because I love it. And I love the heartfelt sell. So when I said, with car sales, it was a heartfelt sell. And this is more of a heartfelt sell. They fall in love with the home. It's unique. There's no other home like it. And, you help them navigate that process from start to finish, and you negotiate a great deal for them. You get the house for them, and the reward is the smile on their face at the end. Obviously you get paid and you get to support your family and continue to build your business and put money back into the business to build a better business for future clients and, repeat clients. And it's all about growing and improving. And so, but we struggled, man. The early days, it was right before the '08 crash. And so just when I was getting going and, momentum was starting to kick in, and then all of a sudden we had this big surge right before the crash. Everyone got into real estate, and, there was the subprime loans, and it was like, hey, everybody and their brother wanted
Yeah,
to
it's
sell real
overcrowded.
estate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the last gold rush of real estate, as far
Mhm.
as agents. And now we just saw the last gold rush here in 2020. But anyways, so then it was like a flood of agents, a flood of business. And it was like, I lost my focus along the way there somehow.
Okay.
And I don't know how I got clouded, and it took, and I needed that, man. I needed that. It was the best things. The crash, I lost my house. I lost everything, like most realtors. I
You got to
barely
start
was
doing your
able,
side hustles, man.
as a side hustle, to make ends meet. I was like, what just happened? Things were great. I was driving a Mercedes. I had a house. I had we were taking vacations, and I'm going, then I look back on it, and it was this so much wasted money spent in the wrong way, all because of image, trying to uphold an image for who knows who or what. But it was like that old saying of keeping up with the Joneses. And
Yeah.
it was like, and so you're in a neighborhood going, well, and then all your friends and everyone else. So it took that experience to really humble me, and a lot of self-reflection, man. And I'll tell you, it was, but you can't know love without hate. You can't know happiness without sadness. You can't know success without failure.
You
So at
can't, you
that,
can't, you can't go, like I've shared a lot with my audience, that I was externally focused on a lot of the wrong things,
mm-hmm,
the image, the Joneses, and that all that stuff gets spanked out of you. And then you got to take a look inward. It's
mm-hmm,
like, you got to be all focused outward to realize, like, okay, I've had all my attention out here on some of these superficial things.
yep,
And now I've got to take a hard look inward and actually kind of fall in love with some aspects of life that
right,
maybe you've been running from, or
yeah,
just setting that aside for later in life when you're gardening and golfing.
yeah.
But
Well, that's what I
you
think
you got it
COVID did.
thrusted upon you. I'm assuming it's like, it was like, all right, like
Uh-huh.
what's real, what's important.
Yeah.
I've got my amazing family, and what do we want to have? What are the core ingredients, things that I'm going to protect, and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
grow, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to stop putting as much, throw money away at some of these other things, throw
Mm-hmm.
energy and time. And so it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you got really honest and clear with yourself. You had one of those coming to Jesus moments where it's
Yeah,
just like,
absolutely.
and there's no way, and you probably got tested right after that on, like, do you want to go back this path, this way, or are you going to like hold steadfast to these things
Right.
that you say are really important? Because, like, you have to build your house over again. The foundation has to be built all up again from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and that's like, you can easily lose sight of, you can forget pretty quick on those struggles you had 5, 10 years ago. You
Yeah.
lose sight, and it's easy to forget and make those same mistakes again.
Yeah.
And so it's, that's where discipline comes in, and like you said, surrounding yourself with good people that are supportive, but that are also like-minded, and that's the way, I've had to distance ourselves from certain people, and I surround myself with other people that are, um, like, again, just like-minded, or, and
Yeah.
success doesn't always mean, material things that you have. And people always say that, that's how do you measure success? Everybody measures it different. And so, but for me, it's like, in that word, that's such a loaded question, how do you measure success? But for
Yeah.
me,
How do you, what is success in your rule book? I know for me, like, freedom's really important,
yeah,
and health and vitality, optimizing those things. There's all kinds of things that I value. I'd love to learn, like, what is your, I think our audience would love to know, like, what's
yeah,
important to you, because those things seem to be growing really
yeah,
well, and
yeah,
nurtured, and and fertilized and watered, like, on a
yeah, yeah,
regular in your world. It's very apparent to me as a friend, who's been
yeah.
inside your space and watched it grow enormously. What do you value, I guess, most, and where do you put all your, what are your baskets?
Well, it obviously it's your family. I mean, everybody's gonna say my kids, my wife, my immediate family, my, and so forth. But, and then for me, it's always been for me to wanting to be successful was just to provide for my family, have a home and food on the table and clothes and good health and, just everything and security, and safety and security. And I mean, all the things that we look for in our basic needs, food, shelter, you know what I mean? It's like, and then and going deeper, it's like, I mean, for me, it's always just been trying to make sure that that my wife and I have a good relationship, that we can continue to grow and keep new, so that I didn't want to, my kids, not, I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like begrudging my parents that they got divorced. I mean, things happen for a reason for different individuals, but for me, I always kind of reflected back, man, how would it been different if they were together and I had a different, structured household or what have you. And so for me, it just felt like I wanted that for my kids, other than what I experienced, So
What's the
and that,
commitment like you and Robin share? What would you say that piece that really, everything's
I mean,
built
just
around?
um, it's, you have to really know the person when you, in the beginning, when you make that commitment, because again, it's that foundation. Everything's a foundation. I keep saying foundation because it's so important and to everything. And so your foundation to your health is, the food you eat, the found in your mind, what, knowledge is the biggest foundation. And that's why you got to be a life learner. And so the knowledge of knowing that at that time, that they're the right person, and again, you got to go with your gut. And I think we just, fortunately, our personalities meshed perfectly, where um, and again, and I think it has a lot to do with just me as a person. I'm very easygoing. I don't know. It takes a lot to really get me upset. You know what I mean? It's like, and
That's
so
very
for
real for
me,
me, my experience of you. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just very easygoing. And I try to be patient, and I mean, not to say that I'm human. I mean, I get upset. But overall, it's like, I mean, I can bring her in here and she'll agree. I'm not just tooting my own horn or anything. I call it how it is. And it's like, I'm not a over aggressive guy. I'm like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness though. You know what I mean? I'm a Taurus. So, but I'm very, just mild mannered, calm natured, and I'm respectful to everybody. I don't like confrontation. You know what I mean? I don't, if I can avoid it, if there's times when it might be necessary, but there's a way you can go about it too, that, and so, but anyways, I'm getting off track
Yeah.
again.
No, you have a swag, a way about you. I think it also is anchored in kind of like me and you both have like this loyalty to a fault until you prove me otherwise,
Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
but you also have uh this beautiful quality that's really like I said, I use the word swag. Like you just I don't know if it's just the Southern California surfer town, dude,
Ugh.
but when if people ever have an opportunity to watch like your real estate videos, when you you have these videos, it's like, I don't know,
Oh
if
yeah,
you're
yeah,
grown and you're like, come into your new home and everything. It actually isn't cheesy like that. It's actually like, hey, like this is where like stories are going to be made. This is where like, like
hmm
think you're going to like grow up yourself, this whole,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
but the person you have a
It's just
welcome.
having pride in what you do, and
Yeah, you
so
have a lot
you,
of pride in what you do, but it's again not about you, like you said earlier. It's not. It's
yeah,
about pride in like, I've so got the space. This is the space for them. This is what they've been
hmm
looking for. Like this is
hmm
it. Like, I know
hmm
you hear it all the time. Real estate is like, oh, I found you your dream home, but I'm like, you're
yeah,
like you really listen to people. You really care deeply, and otherwise you wouldn't get on board. You'd be like, I'm not your guy. Like, so
yeah,
that's very trustworthy. You're right out the
yeah.
gates. It's like,
Well, I didn't want to look. I didn't want to have to look over my shoulder. I work in the town. You work in the town you live in.
yeah,
That the people in your town are your clients. That's your clientele base. Everybody that you surround yourself with. I mean, that's where you're working. So and not for that reason, but I'm just saying, it's like, I never want to look over my shoulder. I never want to have to remember a lie. So I'm later on making sure I'm being honest about the lie. It's like, it just, if you're always honest, you never have to worry about it. And you always, so you're always speaking the truth. You never have to second guess what you're telling people. And
It comes
and
from
that's,
fear. The intelligence comes from like Point Break, where it's like, get off my wave. Someone's slashing you while you're out surfing, whatever. You just want to feel like, I want to feel safe in my neighborhood. Like, we're all good.
yeah,
Everybody loves each other. Like,
yeah.
you're,
So,
but I don't experience
so
fear coming from you. I experience a very thoughtful, creative nature. You're creative, like you're just very creative. And that, I think that's because you don't, I've
you
had
always have to have fear though, because that's what is going to drive you. It's
right.
like, there has to be a, we're all fearful. I mean, we're humans, but it's how you use that fear. Right. So it's how you capitalize on all of the things that you're experiencing, so that you can, it's like, I'm afraid to lose my house. I'm afraid to go broke and homeless. I'm afraid for not providing for my kids. So that fear is continuing to drive me.
And then
So
you capitalize on that.
yeah, I'm afraid to get to a point where I don't have a destiny. I don't have not a destiny. I don't have a, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. To leave behind, I want to pass along to others what I've learned, to my kids, to peers. I want to be able to say, hey, look, I lived a life of learning and growing, and then I want to pass this along, that knowledge. And I'm trying to coach my son into, buying his first home coming up soon, how important it is. I try to teach him about how important credit is, and in your taxes. And so all these things you got to pass along to the younger generation. And now, and he's now expressing an interest in real estate. And I'm like, hey, I can pass along all that wisdom on how to, and then in a sustainable business, and keep it, growing, and then passing. And now with this course, then to me, I've always loved helping people in the office. I have new agents coming up to me all the time, and I'll spend more time than I probably should, because it's not productive for me in a sense as far as business, but it's productive for me spiritually. And, it's productive for me because I'm helping that person, and I get so much more reward out of that, than doing the deals actually. I love that more. So, and that's what really, that's where
your calling. This is your purpose. This is your legacy. This is your way in the world.
Yeah, but I had to learn all these struggles and the rights and the wrongs in order to now be able to teach the rights to the next generation coming in and moving in. And it's like, I feel like I have a responsibility to my industry and to sellers out there. There's a huge injustice that sellers, they don't know the difference whether they're hiring the wrong or the right agent. They don't know any better. But if I can help clean up the industry and provide better agents for out there, then sellers are going to have, it's just, it just makes you feel better. Hey, I contributed to something on this planet, right? I don't know.
Yeah, this is kind of like a later piece of life that we start to figure out. We only got so many more Wednesdays left, and we're like, all right, I better wake the F up and like get with the program. Yeah. And imagine even like looking back on your life, if you had this wisdom then,
legacy
path, and had it guide.
Now I thought of the word, a legacy.
Yeah. Legacy, everybody.
Yeah.
Legacy.
Didn't want to cut you off, but I didn't want to forget it. That's what I was trying to think of. Leaving a legacy.
Well, yeah. And so that guiding light right now for the second half of life for you as a father and grandfather someday soon, maybe we'll see. But the whole idea is that it's been presented to you. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This was what lights me up. This is me sharing my gifts. And for me, often I heard people telling me all the time, you should be doing this and doing that. I'm like, no, it's not for me. I want to, make money, or I want to do these other things. And I think you probably hear the echo like back in your life of some of the struggles you've had to go through. Right. That, if I just like been able to pay attention to that guiding light of being in service of others, at an even higher level than, as this has obviously occurred throughout the years, and now you're very clear, and it's like, okay, I shouldn't be spending so much time on this, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
It's like that
absolutely.
conflict, of like the younger side of you that just went out to compete in the world and develop this identity and had to take care of his own. But now it's like everybody's my own who needs my sharing of all these experiences. So like you said, your peers, your kids, and just curious about, for someone that's in their 20s or 30, your kids, like if you could get them to grasp these deeper concepts and not be caught up, to solve this bigger riddle earlier on, than have to stack up all this evidence that tells you otherwise.
The thing, like with my son, and what I've learned is it's so much more powerful coming third party. So, your mom will listen to me, my mom will listen to you. And it's just kind of like, it's always kind of been like that. And that's why, like, I've always tried to be the 10-second commercial for the 2-hour movie, so I try to lead him to somewhere. And that's why I try to embrace coaches and mentors. And it's so important to have a good coach and mentors that you respect, that have already been there and done it. It's like, there's something to be said about reading a book about it, and instead of going out and trying to learn all of it and writing your own book yourself, or writing your own book about it yourself. It's like, well, let me go read a book about somebody who's already done it, and then if I want to go in and improve on that or whatever. But so my thing was, I was always, you got to have mentors, people that have been there and done it, learn from them. And there's a lot of top sales gurus that I've embraced and read a lot of their material. And
you're like me, you sponge up
sales. You try life learning, growing and learning. And so my son's like, I could try and, whatever I say, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. It's just how it is. But if I can lead him to a mentor, and that's what he's done, I'll catch him now watching, and reading all the things that I've suggested to him. And I'm like, hey, that's powerful, because he's gonna really listen. He's gonna listen to them, not me, but it was via me. So he respects the message. You know what I'm saying? He respects dad, deep down, he knows, and I know that, but I don't know. It's like, well, your dad, a lot when we were young, it's like they told us, until they're blue in their face, and we didn't listen, and
you're like, you're crazy.
We still went out and made those mistakes, right? I mean, not for everyone, but I'm just saying the majority. And you can ask anybody, and they'll tell you, it's like, it's like your kid. They go to school and they're perfect for the teacher, and they listen, but then they come home, they don't listen to you, they don't do shit. What the heck? Why do they listen?
I have that not just with the kids. I have that with spouses. They're always like, oh my gosh, I've been telling him for years. And then you say it one time, he's like, Glenn said the most brilliant thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've experienced this for decades of just.
That's why these, and multi-level marketing, believe it or not, is one of the hardest industries to be successful in. It's, as far as sales, it's a sales job, business. And it's extremely difficult. And that's why they put so much emphasis on personal development. Man, you join a multi-level marketing company, and I'm not bashing multi-level marketing. There's some great ones out there. There's some bad ones out there. There's just like any, just like retail companies, there's good ones and bad ones everywhere. But so I'm not here to talk about and debate about MLMs, but what I'm saying is what they do is amazing, because that's how those people are so successful, man. They hammer you on personal development. That's probably 90% of what you learn in a really good multi-level marketing company, more so than sales of it. It's crazy, because it's all mindset. It's all philosophy. It's how
I always love that,
how you use it.
I always love that about our conversations. I'd call you up. We hadn't talked in a little bit, and we'd be on the phone, and you're on to the next MLM thing, side hustle while you're building your other thing. Like, you were just always after it. But it was like, you'd run all the, the new product. And I'm like, oh man, how much of this cream do I need to apply? But I would be like really on board with your development, who you were becoming, and what was being evoked in you. And I was like, we were getting it from different ways, me and you, but it was like, I always had like an admiration and respect for just the amount of work you were doing on yourself. Because I already thought I was like, in my little field of personal junkie, personal development, exploration, I was the astronaut that was going off in space in this way, but you were always like over here kind of in this parallel way, even though you were very successful like in the sales arena. You were also just developing and developing on, so there's just many paths, to becoming, I'm sure you're not worried about your son when you think, if I just keep pointing him into these different things that are available, like he's going to be fine.
He's going to be fine. Yeah, he'll figure it out. He'll find.
You're like Alaska king crab fishing boat over here.
Yeah, exactly. I forget the name of that show. Yeah, but there's so many of them now. I don't watch them. I don't have time for it. That's another thing. You just got to prioritize your time.
Yeah. What do you have time for and what don't you have time for? Those are, I think our audience wants to know that. What do you have time for and what don't you have time for when it comes to people, energy, activities? Like, how do you,
that's a crazy
you're a
question.
busy dude. So
yeah, right. So, well, I always try to,
and then we'll wrap it up with this. This will be a good time to clip it after this. So.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. What do I have time for? So, obviously my business, I have to make time for my business. I have to make time. It's a balance with everything. And so I eliminate a lot of the time wasting activities, and so, I have a thing, one of my buddies, he's a lender of mine, and we work hand in hand together on a daily basis with our clients and whatnot. And, he'll ask me, hey, can I take you to lunch? He doesn't ask me anymore, but he used to ask me, hey, let's go have lunch. And I tell him, dude, lunch is for wimps. I took that from a movie, but it's like, all these little sayings, it's like as cliches they are, and as whatever, it's like when you really stop and think about them, it makes a lot of sense. They're cliche for a reason because they've worked for hundreds of years. But anyways, I'm like, hey, lunch is for wimps, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. I eat lunch, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, it's like at the gym, like I could relate at the gym. You can stand by the water cooler, work out, and stand by the water cooler and talk to people all the time, or you can just work out, get your stuff done, and go do something that I call the high payoff activity. So I always tell them HPA. I go, if you're not doing something, always think. I whatever I'm doing, I go, hey, is this HPA? Is this a high payoff activity? If it's not, then you're wasting time. So I always, I'll sit there and I'll sometimes be doing something and I'll mess with them. I'll say, hey, all week do an HPA test. And I'll just tell him, just do me a favor and do that. And then he'll be like, oh, and he goes, man, it's funny. I was just messing around with myself and I did an HPA test for the day. He goes, it's weird how it works when you do it just for one day. He goes, I just sat there and did, okay, HPA. So I thought of you and I was like, okay, HPA. He's like, oh, HPA. He goes, and it was amazing. I'd catch myself wasting a lot of time throughout the day. I didn't even realize it. He goes, so that's it. I just try to focus on things that are high payoff activities when I'm working. Right.
A question for you. So real sorry, I want to interrupt you. Yeah, no worries. Just for the audience. So it's not always about, hey, what is it I need to be doing? There's a lot of like, what do I need to not be doing? Like, how am I getting in the way of myself? How am I wasting, bleeding out energy and focus and drive? Kind of like if you were skiing for the day, you decided to have a big lunch. In the middle of the day, you ain't gonna ski that great the rest of the day. You're done.
Well, okay, so to elaborate on that, so it's not the hows, it's how you do the hows.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's not how.
That's Jeff's book, right? Jeff, what was that book you read a long time ago? The Slight Edge.
The Slight Edge.
Slight Edge by Jeff. What's his last name?
Jeff Olson.
Jeff Olson for you guys. Great book, great read.
Man, it's an easy read, and that's for me. I have a hard time, sitting down and reading through a long book. It's like I have my attention span is sometimes a little short, and that's why I love real estate, because it's always something new. I'm moving and shaking, and that's what I found. I'm like, man, I can't sit behind a computer all day long just doing numbers and loans. I'm like, I got to be out there moving and shaking, and that's what I found. And so for me, it was always, I just had that energy of wanting to do that. And so when I found this book, though, it was an easy read, and I was able to read through it, and it's so powerful. I mean, I know you read it, and it's like, it makes so much sense. I feel like
we read it almost around the same time, because I remember us being in conversation around like, hey, it's the how to do any how to. It's the how to be, right?
Yeah. But they call him, Jeff Olson, they call him the millionaire maker, because he's made more millionaires than anybody in the multi-level marketing industry. And his personal development was amazing. So this book that he wrote, actually, it kind of breaks down really a lot of people wondering what makes me different from somebody else who's successful. So and he showed, like, he gives examples, like a baseball team. It's basically, it's the compounding effect of everything. So, and it's the little things that you do in the moment that seem insignificant while you're doing it, but the activity is so powerful that when the compounding effect kicks in, it's that little thing that you did. So and so, like he says, okay, for example, a baseball team, there was like 5 guys on this team that stayed extra half an hour at batting practice every day. And the other, so a month late into the season, a month in, 2 months, 3 months in, you didn't really notice a big difference between the other guys and those 5 guys. But by the end of the season, when they looked at all the stats, those 5 guys actually drove them through the playoffs and to the championship. So when the compounding effect kicked in, all those extra, that half hour, that's when it all built. So if I tell the new agents when they come in, I'm like, hey, think about this. If you did an open house every Saturday and Sunday for a year, and another agent does it just on a Saturday for a year, in the first 6 months, 3 months, you might not notice a big difference, very little difference, if not at all. But after 12 months, I can guarantee you your database is going to be doubled. You're going to be closing way more deals, all because of that consistent over time. So when you're doing them, you're like, oh, this isn't. When you're doing it that weekend, you're thinking, man, this didn't count. It was a waste of time. I'm not, next week I didn't sell that much more. So it seems insignificant when you're doing it, but over time, that's how I built my business 20 years, later. It was like,
And that success
just
formula
exploded.
That success formula, that compounding effect is in everything.
Everything.
I mean, like I get sometimes harassed because sometimes I'll go in the gym and do my back and chest and I got jeans on and everyone's like, why are you wearing jeans to the gym? I'm like, well, I don't have to like make it a whole production and I'm able to get those extra workouts in when I'm on the go. So I'll get my 6 days in, you're only getting 2 in. And at the end of a year, like my physique transformation, my strength, everything is going to be exponentially ahead of where your dabble was.
Right. What if you did legs twice a week versus once a week? And
right.
And in 6 months, or let's just go back, in 3, 4, 5 months, probably won't notice a big difference. Right. But then in 12 months, you're going to be like, holy moly, look at those legs. Like, wow. I mean, so it's just like,
you got to do those things that nobody wants to do. Most people don't want to do the legs, but like all the growth hormone is in those, like you hit those legs hard. It's going to stimulate everything more than just working your biceps.
Yep.
So like, and so you're willing to do those things that other people, you hear that phrase all the time, that others won't, so that you can.
Yep. The successful people do the things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And that's the same with every industry. And if I look at real estate, I can tell you agents hate doing open houses. Because they do them wrong and they don't market them correctly. And they usually sit there and there's nobody coming through and they're like, man, this is so boring. Well, you didn't set it up right. You didn't hype it up right. You didn't knock on every neighbor's door the week of, and you didn't hand out flyers, and you didn't do all these other things that I'm going to teach you how to do to generate more traffic. It's all the numbers, and it's all hype. Everything in life is hype. You got to hype it up, so it's all about the hype. It's being consistent. It's the compounding effect kicking in over the long term. It's doing those little things over a long period of time. It's cultivating the field, and then you reap the rewards. It's not
cultivating. And this is not emphasized in our society. Everything is like all our movies, it's like the nerdy gratification. An hour and a half movie, the nerd guy gets the hot girl. It's like there's no cultivation being promoted, and you got to play long game. You'll get all the short-term wins, but people have it backwards. They just play the short game, just like a diet. You do a diet, you starve yourself, and then you overeat, and you gain all the weight back and then some. I think, well, how would people get a hold of you, Joey? Because you have a philosophy, obviously a program that's going to be coming about, but the idea is like, there's a formula that people can be successful with. You've lived it. You've also experienced when it's gone wrong, when you haven't been following that, and you've got distracted or got reactive to the economy or other things. But it's like, if you're bestowing this information, obviously to your son on pointing him in the right direction, how would people like come to you to get pointed in the right direction, whether they're in real estate or they just wanted to explore a way to like start producing their desired results, start
Yeah.
producing, like start being more disciplined with their daily choices and stop doing the things that are either time wasters, energy wasters, productivity, dismantling.
Yeah.
Like, what is there a way for people to get a hold of you? Like they could reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my email is escrowjoe@gmail.com. It's really easy. Um, and, or through you, they can get a hold of me. However, I'll be
Yeah.
happy to
I'll
help.
give you his cell number. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I can put it out here for you if you want right now.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, so 909 area code 557-3802. Um, Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm super humble. I don't know it all. I'm not the most successful agent out there on the planet, obviously, but out of like my industry here, I'm in the top 1% easily, and it's taken a long time to get here. It wasn't without struggle, and that's the thing. I think struggle creates hunger, and it's like you almost have to struggle to be successful. It's crazy to say, but you do. You got to fail your way to the top, and that's how successful they fell their way to the top. They didn't just become successful overnight. They didn't just be successful their first rodeo or their, you know what I mean? It's like, so you got to embrace failure. And that's what I've learned how to do, is just embrace failure and go, great. Yes.
And defining that really clear, like failure is failing your way into success. You're a failure, I guess, if you want to go that psychological route of,
Sure.
I gave up, I gave it a fair shot, and it just didn't work out. But like, I go to the gym and I fail my way into success. I work with clients and we fail our way into success. You with your kids, you've gone through the different ages that they've passed through, and you failed your way into success, and then started the next stage, and then failed your way into success. And that's the constant learning. It's like, you put something out there and then you get the feedback from what you need to adjust. It's basically failing is just finding out I didn't have all the data yet. Now I need to make some adjustments. Now I need to, like, so long as I had the philosophy of like how I go about things, I've got that figured out. Then the actual how-to of that activity, whether you want to learn guitar or learn anything, learn how to communicate well with your partner. It's just bringing that healthy philosophy and that commitment and desire, and then just having an experience with yourself of like, I don't know it all. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't have it all figured out, and I'm gonna figure some more stuff out even today.
Yeah, you just build on what you know and keep building, and you're going to be a better person the next day. And that compounding effect over time just kicks in. You're a better person 5 years from now, way different. There's a big difference. Like I said, in the months going to it, you don't notice it, but 5 years from now, so you got to just be constantly heading in that positive direction, constantly, you got to, and that's the thing. It's like a rocket ship going to the moon. It doesn't just go in a straight line. And they're constantly redirecting it every little inch. And so you got to constantly redirect yourself to that goal. But you got to the simple things of writing your goals down. A lot of people don't even just take the pen to paper and write it down. So it's like, you got to constantly remind yourself of your goal, where you're heading to. If you don't know where you're heading to, you're flying blind.
Yeah, I always tell people you're like throwing darts without a dartboard. You don't know how to, like, it's a lot of energy expenditure. And then you're going to get discouraged at a certain point. You're going to be like, why am I working so hard doing this shotgun approach? I need to like learn how to like hone this one thing I'm really good at. That's the thing, is like figuring out in life, what's the one thing, it's the one thing that you do better than anyone else. Joe, in my experience of you, what you do, that's the one thing better than anyone else, is you drive an experience that's really in alignment with what they're needing to hear, the step they're needing to get to the next place. Like, you really listen well, you're very curious, and you're impassioned about that. So it's never a flat conversation. I mean, even when I've like, when we've gone rounds or button heads on like, oh, but I want to do this, it's like, you're impassioned with me. You're like, you're in the trenches with me. You put my shoes on, you're like, all right, I'm getting where you're at, why you're thinking like this, but let me show you let me show you what else is available, what's possible. It's
Sure.
even better than this.
Right.
And you take the time
Yeah.
to understand.
You've got to put, one of the things I've learned is you put two powerful minds together, you create a third and more powerful mind.
Correct.
So, it's like, that's about being open. I learned about being open-minded, and, I'll get sales calls a lot of times all the week, all day long, all week, just different companies trying to solicit for, selling me a certain system or whatever. And I used to always just hang up on them, or no, take me off your list.
Right.
Now I listen to everyone now. I give them their 5-10 minutes. It's a high payoff activity. I might, because it's not a missed opportunity. Somebody else just took it. There's no such thing as a missed opportunity. Somebody else just grabbed it. So I'm always like, shoot, I got to listen to what everybody has to offer, and then I'll make an educated decision if it's for me or not.
Is everybody remembering the number that he gave out? All you salesmen out there.
Yeah. Hey, when I answer it though, they're asking, oh, no, thank you. Click. No, I'm just kidding.
Comcast, no, give him a call.
Yeah. Right. But no, it's that, if I can leave with anything really, one of the big things is there's so much in that book, that Slide Edge. If you can get your hands on that book, guys, it helps you to get the foundation. It's not everything, but it is. And then just, hopefully you guys took as much as you could from my experience. And I feel like I have a lot of the same experiences as most people out there. We all have the same struggles, and, we're all cut from the same cloth for the most part, and so it's like, it's just, we're all on different paths, but we're going through the same struggles. We're on the same mountain. We're just all on different paths. You know what I mean? So we're all going to get to the top together. Yeah, we're going to all get to the top together, but we all had a different journey, but we all had the same hurdles, boulders, rocks, dips, boom. Some of us are going to get lost along the way, and we're going to stay lost, and we're going to stay in the middle of the mountain just trying to find our way to the top. And some of us are going to stay on that course and go all the way to the ones that all want to be up there together, that are like-minded, that are surrounding ourselves with great people that want to help you to the top. The ones that get to the top are going to be hand in hand with each other. The ones that are going to be in circles are going to be the ones that let go and thought they knew it all and they don't need help and they can do it on their own. You got to have support, mentorship, help, and be supportive of your wife, your husband, your significant other. And always just positive, support them, help them in whatever that they're passionate about. It's not your passion, but your passion should be supporting them of their passion. So, and that's, but yeah, I mean, I can keep going on and on, it's,
and in fact, let's do this. I'm going to invite you back for another interview at some point.
Cool. Okay.
I'd love to keep the conversation going. I appreciate you as a friend, brother, fellow traveler. Fire away.
One last thing real quick I wanted to say. My wife has a shirt and it says, it's really cool. And it says, your goals.
Goals.
Oh gosh, now I just forgot. Maybe the next time I'll go on and say it, but yeah.
On that note, stay tuned.
Sacrifice. There it is. Sacrifice for your goals, or your goals will be your sacrifice.
Sacrifice for your goals,
or your goals will be your sacrifice.
Goals will be your sacrifice.
So you've got to make sacrifices to get you where you want. There's no easy way to where you want to get to. And so if you don't sacrifice along the way, and that's like Glenn was asking, hey, how do you make time, or what's the, how do you time management? Like what do you know is the right, you know what I mean? So for me, it was the high payoff activity. For me, it was, the more time I spend when I'm working, and then I have better quality time with my family, and I was more productive on both ends of the day, and so
being really present to what you're engaging with versus a lot of people nowadays are like, so many distractive activities that are just eating up time.
Absolutely. And it starts from right when you wake up, man. It's like that. There was some military general, he's like about making your bed. He does a YouTube video about how important it is to make your bed every morning. And he explained why. And it was a really cool
watched that exact video, and I started like hospital coroners. Cause like you come back to your bed at the end of the evening and it's like, I don't care what your day did to you. Mm-hmm. It's like, you get that one activity done right in the morning.
Yep. And it's like I tell agents, look, man, you have two choices when you wake up and you get ready for work for the day. If you want to be productive, You can stay in your house slippers and your pajamas and pretend like you're ready to tackle on the day and sit at home and work on the computer, make calls and think, okay, I got it, cool. Or you can dress up and go through all the effort of suiting. I'm not talking suit and tie, but dressing up, getting ready, everything ready to go, boom, and go into the office. Now you're more like, man, I better make this day productive. I took time, I took all the effort to get dressed and do all this for what? You know what I mean? So it's a mindset. It's a subconscious, and people don't realize it. It's your philosophy, and it's like that's what's so important. Is your philosophy is what drives your mindset. Your subconscious mind is like 90% more powerful than your conscious mind. So you got to constantly be feeding. That's why I was telling you, very limited TV, no news. I stopped watching the actual news. I do, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll go on my phone and I'll look at news breaks to see, but I'm selective. I'll look at the headline and go, it's not. It may not be a high payoff activity for me, but we're not robots. You gotta, we're humans. You gotta have something that. So for me, it's more like keeping up with more current events. Like I like politics too, and so I'm not really heavily involved, but I like to know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Not get
Knowledge is power.
sucked into it, and
I don't get
oh
sucked
my
into
gosh,
it.
the end of the
Yeah,
world.
it doesn't roll but knowledge is power. I watch a lot of economists on like YouTube channels and different podcasts I listen to of real estate. There's these real estate gurus that have these podcasts I listen to. So I'm always, and there's some, and people will say, it's what you select. I go on YouTube and I can watch garbage, but I'm using it for knowledge and power. You know what I mean? So it's just all about, taking it all in and utilizing it.
I love what you said there, and I'm gonna close this off today just with adding one more piece to that, which would be like when you put one of my clients had shared this with me, which was when you put on that outfit for the day, it's like you're kind of stepping in. I'm not a big fan of like stepping into like roles. Just I want to be like I'm just me 24/7. But when you step into this role with the responsibilities, it's kind of like a suit of armor. And that suit of armor, you got to take that off at the end of the day and be with your family, put your hat on sideways, whatever.
Yes.
But that other piece of like, I'm putting this on to embody the strength.
Yes.
Or maybe it's a Viking shirt that you wear to work every day. But the whole idea is that at the end of the day, it's like, take that off. All the beatings I took, all the wars, the blood, the sweat.
You're so right.
It's such a rinse off. And then, so yeah, that's definitely
true, man. When I get dressed up for work every day, and I used to wear a tie, but times have changed. That was years and years ago. And it was more accepted. It was needed. But anyways, I'm now just I'll wear a nice blazer or long sleeve, always collared shirts and just professional. But anyways, man, when I dress up and I go to the office, I'm like a different person. That's Rob. And I don't know what it is. I get in this mindset, and I'm like all about business, and I want to do the best for my clients. And it's so important because there's a lot of responsibility along with each transaction. It's like, there's a lot in my hands, and it can go wrong or right. And a lot of it is on the way of the realtor. So, but man, when I'm just like, dude, I go to battle, and I'm like, dude, you don't want to go to battle on a real estate transaction with me. I'm telling you, that's the mindset that I have. I'm a warrior for my clients, and I go out there, I'm battling for them, and I'm in the trenches, and they're like, I've had clients call me a pit bull when it comes to, negotiating for them. And I'm like, that's what you hired me for, is you didn't hire me to put a sign in the front yard and put it on the computer. You hired me to negotiate for you. That your negotiator is the number one thing you hire a realtor for. Right. So anyways, that's, like you said, I'm ready to go. That's like, and then I come home, I take it off, and
he puts on that Tommy Bahamas with a parrot right here, and he's like, "Hello, ladies. Hi, Robin." And he switches.
No, hello, ladies. No. You get me in trouble.
You get in trouble. There's not just one lady.
Yeah.
One parrot.
Just Robin. Yeah, just Robin. Hello, Robin. No. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, and yeah, I'm excited to talk to you again, and hopefully your listeners got a lot of good nuggets.
I think so. Yeah, I think you'll be some of your listeners as well too. So
cool. Yeah, if you guys are looking at, you might be thinking of a career in real estate, and I'm sure it's going to go out to a lot of people out there. And it's like, I would love to mentor you, and I'm going to have a course coming up. I'll let Glenn know when we're launching it, and it's going to be extremely affordable. Like I said, it's like, I want to help everybody out there, and I'm not in it for just trying to, gouge every person and charge thousands of dollars for coaching. It's like, I just want I want people to take it serious. You have to have something invested into it or you won't take it serious.
You got to skin the game like
So,
anything else. So.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I'm not trying to, trust me, for what I'm going to charge on the course, when you look at all the information I'm giving to everybody, it's 20 years of I'm opening my brain and I'm pouring it out into videos all about real estate, on how to sell real estate, A to Z, how to get started, how to interview. I mean, all of it, I won't go into it, but it's a really cool course that I know people are going to love. And it's, like I said, so if you're thinking about getting into real estate, I highly recommend you check out my course. And that's another thing. See, I love broadcasting this because now this helps me hold me more accountable. See, if you tell people your intentions, then they can hold you accountable. If you say, hey, I'm going to sell 40 houses this year, and the guy, I go, hey, watch me. Oh, you better sell 40 houses. You just told them to watch you. And then, so it's like,
that's like me, man. I'm like, watch me, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So I'm telling you guys, I'm going to launch this course and you're going to love it. And so now I'm like, I better launch this course, right?
Well, I'll connect you. I think that's good for today. I'll connect. If anybody wants to reach out directly to me, I'll connect you with Joey. But I just want to say thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. Got a lot of love in my heart, and we have a lot of fun together. Our conversations are always off the hook. So but I appreciate you, and thank you guys. Thank you everybody for listening. And
thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.